Hey everyone, we're here for another quick conversation for the long haul of leadership with Tod Bolsinger. And today we are looking at a quote from Chuck DeGroat. This is from episode 262 called From Fired to Flourishing. Here's what Chuck DeGroat said. He said, "I had to turn my attention from what happened to me to what was happening within me. I had to turn my attention from what was happening to me to what was happening within me." This is in the context of his story of being let go from a church and then navigating that transition into dealing what was going on inside of him and all that. But Tod, the question then for us in terms of Church Leadership Institute and the work that we do, how does this apply or relate to change leadership?
So, Marcus, this is such a great quote. I mean, Chuck's one of the most wise, trusted people that I know. So anything he says, I would just say, write it down and pay attention to it. But what he's paying attention to, what is helping us pay attention to here that is very important is when anything is happening to us. Most of the time we think of that as being really negative, like being fired or something. But it could just be, hey, we had a crisis in our town, or we had, like the town I live in, Altadena, had a big old fire, or we have a change in our culture, like what we have happening today, or we have some dramatic thing happening. We tend to pay attention to how it's impacting us. What we rarely pay attention to is how we respond to what is impacting us.
Yeah.
So when we pay attention to what's happening within me, what we're really saying at this moment is, yes, somebody might have stepped on my toe, but I screamed really loud because they hit a bruised toe. And that bruise has been there for a long time, probably from something that came from, could go clear back into my family of origin.
Yeah.
But if I don't pay attention to what's happening within me, I'll overreact or I will not act appropriate to the situation. Yeah. So the very first thing most change leaders have to learn is, hey, in the midst of change, the first thing that's going to change is you. You're going to have to go through your own transformation. And that is never good news for people who just wish they could just say, hey, this isn't fair. This is happening to me.
Yeah. I want to stay on the topic of church change leadership, but what this brings to mind for me, I shared with you just before we started recording. My parents are selling a house on the East Coast, and I was there recently, and they kind of got trapped away from it when COVID happened, and so it's been empty for a long time, and so things are not ending with that house the way my mom wanted. And so as you're sharing this, I'm thinking, the conversations I've had with her have been a lot about what's happening to her in this regard and some other things as well, and my dad's health, all these things that are happening to her. And I've been encouraging her to, deal with what's going on within her by talking to somebody. And so anyway, so that's on the personal level, right? When things happen to us, it's so important. I mean, things do happen to us, right? But then what is happening within me when those things happen to us? So how do we get to a place where we can be aware of what's happening within me?
Well, as you described your mother, it wouldn't do you any good to go to your mom and say, "Mom, so what's happening within you?"
Yeah, right.
She's actually, right. So you start with, "This is happening to me. Like this is the experience that I'm having. I'm validating it, feeling it." Yeah. Then you realize when I'm trying to find a way out, I'm trying to grow, and I'm trying to find a positive solution. The weird first step is not to leave the situation, not to avoid what's happening to me, but to ask how it's impacting within me. Like take it a step deeper. And that tends to go, when you go deeper, you tend to find a way through.
Yeah. Tend to find a way through. Yeah. I love that language, because it's not just getting over it, right? You got to go through it in order to get to the other side. And that can be painful.
Well, any of us who've ever had a setback in ministry or in any career knows that, usually you could spend a lot of time navigating or negotiating the situation, but the only thing you can actually change is yourself. So a good question to ask in anything you went through is, so what do I learn in this? What can I take from this? What can I pay attention to in this? Somebody put it to me this way, which is like, think of pain as like a magnifying glass. It might be magnifying a small fissure, like a small crack in your character, that by blowing it up, you can actually look at it before it turns into a massive break. So take advantage of that magnifying glass to look at something and say, let me attend to this piece of this thing that's happening within me.
Yeah. That's great. That's helpful. Here's the quote one more time from Chuck DeGroat. He said, "I had to turn my attention from what had happened to me to what was happening within me."